It's a new episode in a new league with new clubs to play, and I've even got a new haircut to celebrate. What more could you want from the first episode on our Championship campaign? Hey guys, and welcome to episode 12 of my FM20 playthrough. My name is James. On today's episode, we've got the first two matches of our inaugural Championship season, away against Brentford and then home against Birmingham. We've also got all the ins and outs from the summer transfer window, as well as my plans for this season and how I see this season going forward. Well, since you were last with me, and for those who may have missed the summer transfer window in the last episode, we are at the first game of the new league season in the Championship. Over the summer, we have played a selection of friendlies, definitely got some good game time in against especially some higher level clubs. Some really nice results in there, but at the end of the day, I think the match time and fitness was the main focus there. We have unfortunately had a few injuries. Definitely not how we want to start the league season. But if we go to the medical centre, we've got Luca Hall, who's one of our youngsters. Unfortunately, the backup to Mark Little. Come to that in a minute. Who is currently out with a sports hernia for 5 weeks. And talking of Mark Little is also out with sprained knee ligaments for 3 to 6 weeks. So more than likely we'll be playing somebody slightly out of position to better play right back, as over the summer we weren't actually able to bring anybody in as another backup. However, we do have another trialist at the club who does play right back. So we may be bringing somebody else in as the episode goes on. And finally, I feel like a little bit of deja vu. Holmes Dennis is out with an injury. This time it's only pulled knee ligaments. He is out for 5 to 12 days. We do actually have a player who can come in and play left back for him, so that's not too much of a concern. So moving on to transfers, I'd say we've had a fairly quiet summer. Definitely full of trialists coming in, so hence all the free transfers. If you actually want to see the full list of trialists I brought in over the summer, and it is a long one, obviously watch episode 11, the summer transfer window, you'll better catch it there. But if we start with players going out, only really one major sale here. We have Gavin Riley, who never really was anywhere near the team last season, but he's gone to Livingston. Michael Kelly did go at the end of his contract. He signed a pre-contract with Partick Thistle, so he's gone to play up in Scotland. Luke Leahy left for £26,000. He's gone to Shrewsbury. Again, another one who wasn't really anywhere near the team last season. He played the odd game, but definitely felt like it was time to move him on. And then the biggest outgoing of the transfer window, Josh Hare, which I am amazed with how much we got for him. He's now only a 58 scout rating, and based on the fact I don't think he's going to develop much more than he is now, being the fact he's 25 years old. Sunderland decided they wanted to take a punt on him. Maybe he'll do well down in League One, where they are playing this season, but they bought him for £250,000, which was a really nice income on him. Now, we've spent significantly less than we actually brought in. So if we start at the top, so we've got Ryan Elebiosu, who came in on a free transfer from Arsenal. He is a right winger, 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. He is one of a few players we brought in this summer who are one for the future, and I'm hoping just being in and around the squad he might start to develop quite nicely. He won't necessarily be coming in and to play in any games straight away, being that we have multiple players in front of him, even on the star ratings. But there's a good chance, especially in cup games, that he might be able to get some time. Along similar lines, Emmanuel Adebayi has come in on a free transfer from Watford. Very similar player in terms of current and potential ability, 2-star and 4.5-star respectively. However, he's a central midfielder, another youngster to bring in to bolster that midfield, especially as we had a couple of outgoings this summer when it comes to midfielders. He does come in as the 7th best midfielder at the club, however, with multiple players in front of him playing in different positions, and when we're actually playing technically three central midfielders if we include the defensive midfield role, then there's a good chance he's going to be able to get some game time this season. Reece Cole came in a free transfer from Brentford, another central midfielder. This guy, like Adebayi, has been brought in for a central midfield option. We did have a couple of injuries and suspensions there last season, so having as many as I could would be great. He's come in already valued at £325,000. He's got 2.5 star current ability, 4-star potential ability. Maybe not quite the potential ability as some of the others. I hope that he's going to develop quite nicely here. Now, one of our bigger transfers of the summer, Kevin Long, is a 29-year-old Irish central defender who has come in from Burnley on a free. Straight away he's come in and is worth £7.25 million. He's got 4.5 star current ability and potential ability. He will come in and slot straight in as our best centre-back at the club, and he'll be partnering alongside Alfie Kilgore more likely for most of the season, with Harries now taking up the spot on the bench. Next we have Ben Winterbottom, is another youngster, 19-year-old English goalkeeper who's been brought in to be a backup for Geordie and Jacola. We also do have Liam Armstrong at the club. They're both seen as kind of very similar ability, so dependent on how each of them develop is whether they will obviously get an extension on their contract once their contracts come to an end. Josh Grant has come in on a free transfer from Chelsea. He is a 21-year-old Jamaican centre-back. He has come in to be another backup. We did try and actually move on Tom Davis this summer. I believe he is still wanted. He is wanted on loan and a transfer. He is still listed. However, nobody was able to get him across the line before the end of the transfer window. So really, Josh Grant will sit as the backup to Harry, along with Luke Noble behind him. We then have George Thomas. George Thomas has been brought in on another free transfer, 23-year-old Welsh striker. He has come in to be the backup to Jonathan Clark-Harris. We do have Kieran Phillips, so he and George will now be vying for that backup striker spot on the bench. We then have Eden Connolly, who is the only player we actually spent money on this summer. He is probably one of the prospects I'm most excited about coming in. He is a 17-year-old Irish left back. More than likely, he is going to be one of the ones starting this season with Holmes Dennis on the injury bench again. 2-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, be it with one of them being a black star. But he came in for £10,000. Really, I was only attracted by the fact he had a 5-star potential. We haven't got that many strong youth prospects at the club at the moment. So bringing somebody in who I'm going to be able to develop, as that was part of, especially as that was part of the club vision as well, to bring in under 23 players for the first team. He'll definitely be a player who we're developing to end up in the first team. And then finally, probably my favourite transfer of the summer, we have Levi Lumeka, who is a 21-year-old Congolese left inverted winger, and I love an inverted winger. 3.5-star current ability, a full 5-star potential ability. As I said, he comes in as really as a tie between Barrett and Giannelli, so the three of them will be vying for that spot. And while we're on the subject, we managed to get Giannelli back in for another year. I did weigh up whether to bring him back, especially when we started looking at Levy, but I felt he did do a good job last season, and we want some strong options out on the wing, especially as that's where a large percentage of our goals were coming from last season. Now, the only other changes where we had a couple of staff changes, Enda Barron and Hargreaves, who were the chief data analyst and head of youth development respectively, they have both left. So we brought in a couple of replacements. We were actually allowed double the scouts this season, so we have brought in 2 scouts. Brought in Steve McCall, who came in from Colchester. He is definitely, and all these staff members really are an upgrade on the staff members we had prior to them, so he comes in as one of the new options. We've then got a technical director. We've been allowed one this season, Angus Frederick, who comes in. Really strong attributes, I think, for this division when it comes to being technical director. As I said in the transfer episode as well, he will be coming in to take over a number of the responsibilities that the director of football was taking on last season when it comes to dealing with under 23s and under 18s contracts for staff, because it's something I really don't want to have to deal with. We've then got Zahir Shah, who is the replacement for chief data analyst. Definitely an upgrade, not quite as strong as the type of staff member I'd like to have brought in to replace our old chief data analyst, but he's definitely an upgrade, as I believe the previous one was all 8s across the board. We've then got Jed or Ged Roddy, not sure which, tell me down in the comments if you know, is a 57-year-old English head of youth development. He has some very strong attributes, 20 working with youngsters, 16 and 17 on ability and potential judging. He, I'm hoping, is going to be a strong upgrade for bringing in some nice youth players come March New Gen Day next year. He doesn't fit in with the tactical styles that we do play as the main squad, but I'm hoping that his attributes will make up for that. And then finally, we have Andrew Main, who is another one of our new scouts, 16 on adaptability and then 12 and 15 on ability and potential. The adaptability is going to be particularly good, as the board announced this summer that we have now expanded our scouting range to include Europe. Right, so that's everything from the summer transfer window. Let's get into the first game of the season. Now, just before I get into the team news for the first match of the season, I just want to cover off this. This is something interesting that has developed since the start of the summer transfer window. The board appear to have actually changed their expectations on this season. At the start of the transfer window, they actually stated that they expected us to avoid relegation. They have actually now downgraded that to fight bravely against relegation. This actually was something I wanted to talk about as part of the transfers, because this was actually one of my thought processes in when I was bringing some of the transfers in, as well as obviously our restriction in terms of what finances we can throw around. A lot of these players are on the younger side, but also what you'll find is that our starting 11 and even tactical style are very similar to last season. This is because if there is a chance that I'm not going to get sacked for being relegated, and we do end up getting relegated, I would much rather have a solid League One team that could obviously fight again for playoffs and even maybe promotion again the season after, than obviously try and bring in a lot of kind of older ex-Premier League players or so on and so forth that you'll find in the Championship to try and scrape through, but then obviously not necessarily having a plan going forward after that, once those 34-year-old players look to move on or retire. It'll be interesting to see how this does pan out over the season. I'm not very good at things like tactics and such like that, so some of this is also about the fact that I don't want to really move away from what obviously got us here in the first place. But as I did with the start of the previous season, we started out with one tactic, played a few games, see how it went on, and we did end up changing it. I'll go more in depth into obviously what tactics we're looking at when we look at the team, which should be next. Here we go then. First game of our first Championship campaign. It is a bit of a tough one away at Brentford, who are known for doing well in FM20. But here is the team that is going to start. As I said previously, same formation, very similar starting 11. I want to give these guys a chance and see if they can compete in the Championship, especially for how well they did last season, but obviously there are a few changes based on mainly around injuries. We are training a fluid counter-attack, a cautious 5-3-2 wing-back. Is something that we are looking at. Obviously they don't have a massive amount of familiarity with it at the moment. We may try it possibly in a few cup games, or maybe in the more difficult games where we find that we're likely to lose anyway, just to kind of get some experience with it, but that is when we are training as well. But for today's game, we're going to be trying the 4-1-2-3. So we have, as we did last season, Jacola in goal. We have Connolly and Grant, who are going to be stepping in for Holmes Dennis and Mark Little. Josh Grant is actually one of our new centre-backs who came in over the summer. He plays accomplished as a left and right back, but he'll be coming in to cover Mark Little while he is injured. And as I mentioned when I did the transfers, Eden Connolly, talk about baptism of fire. So he's going to come in as our starting left back for Holmes Dennis. So he probably is feeling a little bit of pressure on his 17-year-old shoulders. Then we then have a very familiar midfield of Agogo, Clark and Upson, with Barrett, Newman, Lumeka, who comes in ahead of Ginelli, and then the man who hopefully is going to keep us up this season, Clark Harris. He had, and obviously, as I stated in the transfer window, a massive season last season. I'm hoping he'll be able to step up. He is still showing as a good player for most Championship sides, so I'm hoping he might be able to bang in a few goals for us this season and help keep us afloat. Right, let's get into the game. Surprisingly, coming into the first away game of the season against a team that is actually playing only one striker up front. So hopefully we might be able to take advantage of that, especially as we're playing obviously a defensive midfielder who should cancel out their attacking midfielder. I think first day of the season, let's ask them to go out and cause an upset, play the underdog card. We're playing that a lot this season, I believe. So why not start in the first game of the season? So almost 8 minutes on the clock. First highlight, we have a free kick. Ball into the middle, but is cleared by Brentford. Brentford now bring the ball away, but Agogo is back there to tackle, but Osborne collects the loose ball, bringing the ball down the right-hand side. Another brilliant tackle by Agogo. He is really up for it today. And a third tackle by Agogo, who on the third attempt wins the ball back. But a terrible ball into the middle, and Chikola is caught out, and the ball just hits the side netting and goes out. That would have been an awful start to concede from such a defensive error as that was. But we have another highlight with 11 minutes on the clock. Brentford with the ball, playing it back to Raya in goal. Big ball forward, but it is collected by our new man Lumeka, who does a very bizarre wayward pass to lose the ball. The ball comes through to the Brentford striker scores. Not a great start. Caused by another mistake. Lumeka should have done better with that. I don't know why he kicks us a wayward pass, but Osborne, with the single striker, managed to sit right into the middle. Something really I probably should have foreseen before the match started. But we'll see how it goes. We may be switching to the 5-3-2 earlier than expected. We have another highlight. Kilgore with the ball to Upson, to Clark, to Agogo. Hopefully we can now build something for ourselves. Clark Harris with the ball by himself, but he loses the ball back to Brentford. And the ball straight forward to the Brentford striker again. He's in through for a second time, and in the space of 22 minutes, we are now 2-0 down. This is an awful start. I'm hoping this is not the sign of things to come, and this just happens to be a team who is going to play particularly well. One thing I should have actually looked at before we started was a look at the season preview for the Championship and see where Brentford do sit in the mix. But yes, after 25 minutes, we're 2-0 down. We haven't had a single shot, either on target or otherwise. We've now had a shot, but it appears that Mbeumo, who is playing a single striker in the middle, is tearing our defence apart. Brentford have another highlight I was going to say there. I'm actually losing my words at this point. Jensen across to Osborne, who puts it in for 3. And after 35 minutes, we are getting royally torn apart here. We're going to have to make some form of change at half-time. Come on, Upson, do something that we can go into. Yes, Clark Harris, that is more like it. 40 minutes on the clock. We've got a goal back. It's worrying that after 40 minutes, it only feels like a consolation goal. But I think if we can have a positive team talk at half-time and come out in the second half with a bit more drive, we can try and give a better account of ourselves in the second half. That's exactly what I'm going to say. The assistant manager says it was disappointing. Exactly what I'm going to say there. Go out, do better in the second half, at least be competitive. It's obvious the fact that we're not going to be able to probably win this game based on how the first half went. But at the very least, we need to give a good showing for ourselves. But we do have a highlight. Grant here with the ball to Upson, out to Lumeka, bringing the ball inside. Loses the ball, however, again to Jensen. Jensen with the ball to Canos. Big ball forward, looking for Milano, who's tackled by Connolly. The 17-year-old there showing the rest how it should be done. But Clark Harris loses the ball as it comes forward. Barrett goes out to collect the wayward ball and looking to recycle the play and bring it forward again. But he passes it back to Jacola to restart. Then to Long. An awful pass by Long. Connolly was being marked there. The striker's in again. The Brentford striker's in again, and luckily the ball is blocked and goes out for a corner. Osborne with the corner into the centre, but Jacola confidently comes out and snatches the ball out of midair. I think 60 minutes on the clock. Let's make a few changes. We're going to bring Ginelli on to that left-hand side. Ollie Clark's on 6.4 as well. So we'll bring on Matthews for him. And as much as there are a number of poor scorers in this team at the moment, I think I'll only make the 2 for the time being. I think this really might be a learning curve in terms of having an away tactic and then a home tactic. So we may look at maybe playing the 5-3-2 as our away tactic, and then maybe playing this as our home tactic. It says that Clark Harris has an injury. Hopefully it's nothing major. But Upson loses the ball out to Norgard, who passes the ball forward to Mbemo, looking for his hat-trick. However, it falls into the arms of Jacola. 10 minutes left to go. I think we'll make a final change. I think actually I'm not gonna risk Clark Harris. I'm gonna take him off. It says it's a thigh injury. It's only an orange injury, but I'd rather him rest, especially as there's very little chance we're probably going to win this one anyway. So we'll bring on George Thomas, who's going to come in for his debut, and that is it. There was no more highlights after that. A 3-1 loss away at Brentford. Really probably what I would have expected on the first day of the season against a team like Brentford, but it was a little disappointing that we didn't really even show up, bar the one goal from Clark Harris. Him and Kilgore were the only 2 players actually that had a 7 or above on the average ratings. Not happy. I can understand that Kilgore is disappointed with that, as he has played quite well, but I think overall it was a poor team performance. And definitely something that we need to look at. And one thing we can do before I continue is we'll look at the season preview. So Brentford are expected to be up in the playoff picture, along with a lot of what you'd class as kind of the upper Championship / ex-Premier League teams, and we're expected to be relegated. We're second bottom on the preview table. Now on to hopefully a slightly better game against Birmingham. Well, that's definitely not an orange injury. So Clark Harris is actually out for 4 to 7 weeks with a thigh strain. I'm really glad I took him off now, actually, because I presume that probably could have been worse depending on how long he stayed on for. We're probably better off him going out the physio, so he's only out for 4 to 5 weeks. Really limit the amount of time that he is on the injury list. So we have signed a right back. This player was on trial with us while we were playing the previous games against Brentford. So Moses Odubejo. I really should vet these players' names before bringing them in to know if I can actually pronounce them or not. Moses Odubejo is a 27-year-old Nigerian right back. It comes in from Sheffield Wednesday after having played with Brentford and Hull, and actually really has played for a number of teams in and around this league. Not played a massive amount of games, especially being the fact he's 27 years old. But he does come in with 3.5-star current ability and potential ability. It does actually bring him in ahead of Mark Little. As Mark is currently injured, we'll be putting him in for his first match against Birmingham. Interested to see how he plays, especially as he is an attacking wing back, which I like my wing backs to be slightly more attacking. He does say that he's currently only a good player for League One sides, but it does say that he could improve slightly in the future. So I think with a little bit of game time, we might be able to bring his ability up a little bit more. Right, the only other news is Josh Barrett has signed a new 3-year deal, which is due to start next summer, and £9,000 a week. There was a lot of transfer speculation with him over the summer when contract talks broke down. His previous negotiations were well in excess of £10,000 a week, so it'd be good to get him down on that, and also removing any release clauses, which is something that I really focus on trying to get removed. So he's got another year on his current deal, where he is earning £2,500 a week, and so he has been happy to sign that to come into effect next summer. We've only played one game, and Upson is now the 6th player, 5 from our starting 11 to get injured. Poor groin for 5 to 10 days. I'm hoping this isn't the start of things to come. Here we are for the second match of today's episode. We are home against Birmingham. We've had to obviously make a couple of changes with the injuries that we sustained in and around the last match. So we are going to be playing the same formation and tactic, and I continue with this at the very least for the home games. Offline I might try for a couple of the away games the other tactic and see how we get on. But for this match, we're going to play Jacola in goal, Connolly, Long, Kilgore, and a first game for Odebejo. We then have Agogo, Clark, and Cole coming in for his first match of the season to replace the injured Upson. With then Barrett, Lumeka, and then Thomas coming in up front for the injured Clark Harris. So even with only one game down, definitely is starting to look like a different starting 11. Obviously with all the forced changes. Another team that are playing a 4-4-1-1. Is this if there's going to be a theme in this division, I may end up switching to a back three, because it's probably going to be easier to defend against it. I think the assistant manager is correct. Expect to see better full performances today. I don't necessarily want to judge or go based on one match, and I'm hoping it was just a one-off, maybe first match of the season nerves. But we are a minute and a half in. We have our first highlight with Odebejo outside to Cole, to Agogo, to Lumeka, bringing the ball forward, looking for the cross into Barrett, and Barrett almost heads it in at the back post, but it goes out for a goal kick. 25 minutes gone, no more highlights so far in this match. We've had a couple of shots by the looks of it, not had one on target yet, but it does feel a little bit more balanced than it did in the away match against Brentford. But with 38 minutes on the clock, we do have a highlight here with a big ball into the middle, looking for Lumeka, but he puts the ball wide again, and another ball manages to avoid the target. We have Birmingham with a corner, big ball into the centre, looking for Dean. Dean hits the woodwork, and the ball goes out again for another corner. That was very close, and that would have been painful going in just scoring just before half time. But we managed to clear the ball via Lumeka. Ball comes back out, but back to Connolly, who looks to pass the ball back to Jacola, to Kilgore, playing it safe. Out to Lumeka, who's bringing the ball forward, looking for some space. Odebejo manages to collect the ball into the centre, looking for Thomas, and we have our first shot on target. But the Birmingham keeper manages to collect it quite comfortably. Ball forward from the keeper, but we managed to win it back. Passing it around on the halfway line, looking for an opportunity to break through, and Lumeka manages to bring the ball forward, looking for Clark. Thomas to Barrett, shot from outside the area. Ollie Clark. Ollie Clark showing that even with the jump up in division, we can still score a screamer from just outside the box. Lovely ball from Lumeka to Clark, to Thomas, to Barrett, then back to Clark. What a goal! He was a good 10 yards outside of the penalty area, then slots it into the bottom corner. But you know what? I definitely more balanced first half than the previous game, and I will take balance at this point. So going into that, I'd say guard against complacency. If we can get our first win here, it definitely gives this an episode of two halves, and will definitely bring a much more positive spin on what was me being getting quite negative after the first game. But Birmingham do have the ball in our penalty area. However, Long manages to win the ball back. Gogo knocks the ball forward to Barrett, who's in masses of space. Can we counter attack against Birmingham? Barrett bringing the ball forward into the penalty area, shoots, but he can't get it on target. Thomas was waiting in the middle. You'd think he would have hopefully passed it across, but did not. Kilgore with a free kick to into the middle to Agogo, to Lumeka, to Clark, to Cole, then to Barrett. Barrett bringing the ball forward again, looking to make up for his poor shot earlier. Ball out to Odebejo, and then a shot from Agogo, looking to try and replicate Clark's goal in the first half, but unfortunately trickles wide of the post. So 61 minutes on the clock. I think we're going to make a couple of substitutions. Lumeka has had another very iffy game, so we'll bring on Janelli for him. Thomas again hasn't played very well. I know it's probably because he hasn't been quite getting the feed that he needs. So I think we'll bring him off. I'll bring Phillips on as a poacher, push him forward a little bit more. What I might do as well is push Barrett forward a little bit more as well, really start trying to press their defence. Right, just under 10 minutes to go. Based on the stats in this half, we have definitely been the better team. We've had more shots on target, and we have won it full time. Bristol Rovers won, Birmingham 0. That is a massive positive after what was a very as a very poor performance in the first match. Good win, boys. Well done. So a mixed start to the season, but I really expect Brentford to be up and around the playoffs, if not the automatic promotion spots this season. So not a match that I would necessarily expect us to win, especially away. So at least we got a first home win of the season, and we got ourselves off the mark. Right, I'll be back at the end of August. I'm going to play a couple of games offline. I'm going to play Reading at home and then Peterborough away. Especially with Posh having been a difficult team for us last season, we had a number of back and forth matches. So it'd be nice as a marker to be able to see how each team has improved. And especially as they're likely to be a team that will be with us in and around the relegation zone, it'll be good to try and get some points off of them. So if you enjoyed that, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to be notified of brand new FM20 videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And thank you very much for watching.